I'm not sure who else is planning to join, but it's 9:04, so we probably can go ahead and get started. I'm assuming everybody was able to take a quick look or at least glance through the latest version of the comp plan. We'll tell you, it wasn't changed content-wise in a big way. It was mostly just like grammar and stuff. Thank you to Karen. And then some of the, or actually all of the goals, the action steps within the goals were rearranged so that the items that said priority or something like that, were at the top, and things that said secondary or ongoing were moved lower. I didn't change the, whether they were high priority or low priority. I just changed them around because a couple people had suggested that it was confusing that they weren't in any sort of order. And then, the question was, well, why are they in that order? So I just switched them so that it makes sense. But for some of them, they might have like 6 different things that say it's a priority item. And I didn't make any kinds of decisions on which of those should be first. I just put them. So if people have an opinion on that, we can certainly entertain that too. But some of you might probably would have noticed that I sent out another email to our committee chairs asking for any further feedback on their goals, or the comp plan in general, but I imagine they probably won't look at anything besides their own goals.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Eric incorporated all of the comments from the committees before the last edit. So I didn't change any of that because it looked like that was all done. But I'm not sure all the committees have seen that. I know the Ag Committee already looked since those changes were made, but I've asked the other ones to look too. And I think the timing will work out fine as long as everybody gets it back by, early May. Then that stuff, if they have any further suggestions, can be put into the plan in time to send it to the town board for their May meeting.
Sarah, did you send it particularly to the Comprehensive Plan Committee?
You know what? I didn't.
I thought about that, and then I forgot to ask you last time we were here. I think that would be a good protocol here. They were the ones that generated a lot of the input in the beginning, and the measurements and all of that kind of stuff. And it would be helpful. There are some of us here that were on that Comprehensive Plan committees, but there are others who I think would be interested to find out what a quote final draft might look like.
No, you're right. I just forgot. Eric had been communicating with them before, and it didn't cross my mind. I'll make sure to send it to them too.
Okay, thank you.
And I can also ask them if they'd like a meeting. I'd be happy to do that with them too. Okay. Does anyone have any general comments about the latest version or anything they noticed or questions? I will go ahead and share it. All right. Can you guys see the plan?
Yep.
Yeah.
I changed one of the pictures. We'd gotten a comment about the cows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good. This looks good.
It's just schoolhouse. I was trying to think of a building that would look cute because the plan's more than just our landscape. So
true. I'm sure the historical team will like that inclusion.
Yeah, well, it's a park. It's also a historic building, and it's interesting, and it has a story to tell. So
yeah,
I mean, and I'm up, we can change any of these, but the other two pictures Eric had are, are pretty nice too. The lake and then the fields. And then this other one shows some ag, so it's kind of covers all the bases, I think. The date's been updated throughout the plan to show that it's 2021. This was as of last week on the 15th was the last time I touched it. I did have to add a page, so all the table of contents and page numbers for the charts have all been updated too. There had been some issues with text getting cut off. That's been fixed. It was just an issue with publisher, but we got that fixed. I don't think there were any other major comments on content. Nobody provided any feedback on content. So nothing was really changed. I did flesh out, I can't remember what section. I think it was when it was talking about COVID a little bit, just because I think there were some things that seemed like it was written last year, like when it first started. So, but it was minor. It didn't change content. It just rounded it out a little bit. I can't remember what page it was on.
It was on page 13, the previous 13. I don't know what page it is now, but didn't take a look at that actually, but
yeah, I added a little bit to this.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, just adding some clarifying sentence or so. Yeah.
So I have a question on that. So in reading through, and I did go through the whole entire document, didn't have a lot of comments, but a couple of questions. In the executive summary, it references 500 survey responses, and keep in mind our population is in excess of 12,000. So that's a pretty low overall response in terms of setting direction and policy from a community that large. And then coupled with that, the COVID situation that's referenced here on page 13, I'm wondering, should we put into the paragraph relative to the COVID response there, something along the lines of perhaps, that the town may wish to consider an update, a more, traditionally comprehensive plans are updated every 10 years. Perhaps the town might want to consider a review at a time period a little more sooner than that, due to unknowns relative to the outcome of the COVID pandemic and the relatively low response rate. Just a question throwing out there. I'm not suggesting that we do any type of rewrite or anything, but just kind of drawing that out a little bit. Pay attention to that.
Well, you could redo the last sentence there where it says the CIC and town board will continue to pay attention to these long-term effects of COVID and make changes as necessary. You could just amplify that sentence to make it feel more pertinent and, whatever. But there is a reference to the town board keeping an eye on this and how COVID's going to affect governing.
I wouldn't be apologetic about 500 responses. I mean,
yeah,
as we well know, it's hard to get any kind of involvement or feedback.
And those 500 responses were at a time when we weren't in COVID then. This was at the very beginning of the process. So, it's a reality.
Nobody cares unless it's in their backyard.
That's right.
There's several spots in here where it talks about, that the suggestion is to update between 5 and 10 years. In one of those, maybe on this page, or maybe it's somewhere else, maybe that's where we put a note that, if the situation suggests that we need to do it, at 5 years rather than 10, we can look at it. Or is that enough that it says between 5 and 10 years? I don't know. I know it mentions that in more than one place, so I can't remember if there's one spot that makes it sound like we won't do it
I don't think we want to pigeonhole ourselves to 5 years, or maybe we'll do it at 3. I mean, since we don't know, it's probably better to make it a little bit more flexible. But I think that we, the town board and the CIC and all the other, committees and boards will probably, could be looking at what the effects COVID has and how it's changed their operations, and then give that feedback to the town, whether it's 3 years or 5 years or 6 years or, I don't know if we want to get too.
Just something to the effect reviewed and updated periodically as conditions change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you
Yeah.
could put that just right under COVID, because that's what we're worried about here is the changes that COVID will bring and that we need to be nimble with.
Okay. Well, I've got a note to remind us or remind me to say something.
Yeah. I mean, we could even put that as a goal for the CIC for, one of our project years. After COVID, we see that, is it time now for that to be reviewed? And, we could start that process if the CIC wishes to do that.
Do you think that should be like a goal in the comp plan or just a goal of our own?
I was just thinking of our own, but that's what I'm saying. I think we can get more particular about the year that we would like to do it. The comp plan, I don't think we need to nail it down in the comp plan, because then we're going to really have to do it on that year. So make it just a little more flexible, but also keep it in mind. I mean, the CIC, that's what our intention is to, to keep abreast of all of the changes and how the town moves forward and make those recommendations to the town. So it's just an idea.
Doug, did you have anything else?
Yeah, so the other thing is on the goals, and I think we may have mentioned this before. There was an update that I had worked with on Eric regarding town operations, and I see in both the executive summary and in the chart that it's still the original goal. It's not the updated one that we had kind of worked on in the draft. So I don't know what happened to that.
I don't know.
I don't think we ever reviewed that one at the CIC. It's my recollection anyway. I could be very, very wrong, but because that was the last one, I think, isn't it, or whatever? And that was.
Yes, that is the very last one. But other than that, honestly, I think everybody's done a fantastic job with this. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of detail in it. A lot of great information. It's very thorough. And thank you everyone that has spent so much time in putting this together. It's a great document.
I see that it's still got some blanks. I don't remember if some of the other ones still had. No, it looks like the other ones all have all the boxes filled. That's something I didn't spend a lot of time looking at. I'm hoping that in the second glance from the committees, they'll take a look at, what it says for the primary and the secondary entity and the importance level. Because I know at first those weren't all filled out. I had a question about and I know we talked about this before. I gotta find it. Where are we? The order of the goals. There is no order. Should there be an order?
An order like what? Do you mean
which goal we
alphabetical?
look at? Yeah, which goal we look at first? Is there a goal, based on the category or alphabetical, or just what makes sense as you look at how the town is governed?
Would we make that decision when we start to do our 2022 goals?
No, I mean here on this page as it's listed in the comp plan.
Oh, I see.
Just like it's 1 through 10, does that mean agriculture is the most important goal? Or is it just because agriculture starts with an A? I mean, the rest of it's not alphabetical, but that's
Yeah,
what I'm
right.
asking. Does anyone have an opinion?
Well,
I like
it
order,
already
so I'd
says,
like a way to do it, but I'm not sure what the best way to do it is.
it already says not in significance or priority.
I know.
So I would say just leave it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Anyone else?
Well,
good
we
with
might
just
have to
leaving it?
jump around anyways.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would.
Yeah.
My brain wants to categorize it and put it in some sort of order, but that might just be me.
I think having the numbers automatically in some minds prioritize it and put agriculture first and town operations at the bottom. So perhaps
Maybe bullets?
I agree with Sarah that I
There's
would
an-
look. In looking at it the way it is now, that's the way my mind works. Number one is agriculture. The bottom, the last thing we'll pay attention to is town operations. And I know that's not legitimate. I would suggest either taking the numbers off or putting it in alphabetical order or leaving it in that order, but I would take the numbers off because people who have I hate to say this word, engineering type brain see things different than people who have a creative type brain. So all of you with creative type brains are going to see automatically prioritize it yourself. People like, I would imagine, Chuck and me and Sarah see it, automatically look at the numbers. I can't help it. And that's the way, if I were reading this and I were an outsider, that's the way I would rate it. Number one is agriculture. Which in
Well,
my
if
opinion is
If
not
you
true.
remove all of the numbers, it wouldn't hurt anything because everything, all of the goals are not numbered by category. So, agriculture doesn't turn out to be number one agriculture in the visions and goals part. So it wouldn't hurt anything. I mean, if that's a concern for left-brained, people, I guess.
Yeah, they're not numbered
Confuse
when
them.
you look at them.
Let's don't confuse them.
I resemble that remark.
Well, is there anyone opposed to me removing the numbers and replacing them with like bullets or just nothing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bullet. Yeah, do bullet.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good resolution.
Would you
Yeah.
like me to include page numbers over here for people who want to
No.
jump to it? Or that might be in the table of contents already.
It is.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yes,
No.
it is.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
we don't want to nitpick this, I guess, I think.
So if it's already in the table of contents, then we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any random comments? What about the maps? I have to figure out if I can. I have to find where he made the maps because they all say 2020. I don't, and I was hoping it would just be that they were made in 2020, but it also says it in the maps title area. So I'm gonna try and find those. If I can't change it, because he has these in here, he entered them as images. I can also just edit the image, but I'd rather just change the file. But
How critical is that?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking
I
too.
don't like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it doesn't match. It says comprehensive plan 2020, and yet at the top of every page, it says 2021 comprehensive plan update. So it's like the map doesn't match the document. And that bothers
Okay,
me.
But the map was done in 2020.
Yeah, and the date it was created is on the bottom.
So
It's in the
I think
title.
you have to leave 2020 on there. That'd be misleading to say that we recreated the map in 2021. We did not.
No, the whole plan was called 2020. I was able to change that everywhere. I just couldn't change it here.
Yeah,
It's
that's, I
saying
know,
that
I
this
know
map is
that.
part of this plan, but this plan is now no longer called 2020.
Isn't there something in the plan that, I don't know if we talked about it or if it actually says in there that the maps are from the original plan or from the there was a plan, wait a minute. Oh, 2020, okay. Did we
No, he
redo
just
them?
made them.
Did we redo the maps or are these
Yes.
maps from the original plan?
No, Eric
No, these-
created these himself, which I think he did a good job, by the way, speaking
Okay.
as a geographer. But
Very
no,
good.
he
Yeah.
found, you can actually download it. It's free, but it's a pretty powerful GIS tool that you can use to make some really nice maps. And he just made these for the plan. Some of the maps, yes, come from older plans.
Yeah.
The history map is from a different plan. There's a couple of maps in here from the ag plan and the open space plan and
Space.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they say that right on them, like they say Labella and stuff. But the rest of these, he made these.
So when it says, drawn by Eric Cooper, EAC, I just, that sounds like that's when the map was drawn. That's the way it was. That's the way it is. It wasn't drawn in 2021. He wasn't here.
Right.
So
Yeah, but this is the title of the map that it goes with this plan. So typically when you make a map, if it's part of a document and you're naming the document in the map, which he probably didn't need to do, but he did anyway.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because
Whatever.
it says it at the top of the page, but,
Yes. Yeah. I
but
see it.
it's also
Like,
redundant. They just,
yeah.
white out.
Or just leave it, because as we know, residential properties, parcels change, subdivision and everything else. And I
oh
don't.
yeah, they're
know.
dated.
Yeah, but I mean, if we change that to 2021, something may have happened since that
Yes.
map was created.
I guess it just should not say comprehensive plan in it. We know it's part of the comp plan. This is just residential parcels for these dates in the town of Canandaigua.
Yeah, just take out that line that says 2020.
Map 19, I'll check on that. All right, I'll just make a note to check the maps to make sure.
He did a heck of a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If a
Second.
consultant would have done this, they would have had a team behind them updating the maps and all this kinds of stuff. So it's remarkable, really.
Let's see. Oh, I also did update the transfer station section. That was fairly easy to get. Caitlin had just prepared all the updated stuff from 2020. So that
Good.
section was changed because the stuff in there before was from 2019. So that section was updated, but the demographics section, I was kind of curious to see if the census data was coming out anytime soon, but they don't anticipate it before December. So it's kind of unfortunate that we're going to get it right after this is done. But so that stuff is pretty much, that's as good as it's going to get. So it's recent, but what else? I expanded this page, these two pages a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because it didn't say much about the inclusive playground, but that project has kind of gained some more importance recently. The
Yeah, definitely.
University of Buffalo Center for what is it? Inclusive Design and Environmental Access is a nationally recognized institute. So they're involved now. So I put that in there. It didn't say much, you know. I felt like it's such a important project. It should be a little more detailed. So there's a little, just one paragraph, really, just a couple sentences kind of explaining it a little bit more. But yeah, other than that, I didn't change anything. Oh, there's a picture missing. So it says Weifels Farm. I'm wondering if he was expecting someone to send him a picture but didn't get it.
And I can't imagine we wouldn't have a picture of that when we processed the PDR. I mean, that's kind of a few years ago, but.
Yeah, that was a while ago. There's
Yeah.
no pictures, and the town has no pictures in our files. I looked, but or at least not digitally. I didn't look at anything paper, but I could do
We can
an
go
aerial,
out there.
or yeah, someone could take a picture.
I thought somebody took a picture of the NOPS operation, even though they aren't in the PDR.
I have a picture, but it's not that great.
No.
I mean, I do. I have a picture of all the dairy barns, but although it's small, it might work anyway.
Who said that they would take an aerial?
I could use an aerial from Encore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But this is just the whole section on agricultural lands. The picture could be anything, really.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll fill it. Do you want me to ask the Ag Committee to pick something?
At this point, why don't you just pick something? I mean, this is not critical.
Pictures are
Well,
art.
there were some.
Well, they are art.
There were some good.
Critical.
Yes,
There were
outside?
some good photos, ag photos, in the ag plan.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I have a nice photo. I think that we put in the ag plan of the Miller farm with the corn field in front, and then the buildings from, oh, what is that road? Bliss? No. Oh, I don't know what.
Yeah, that's Bliss Road there. You're talking about
From
the one by the-
yeah, Woolhouse, from Woolhouse. Yeah.
And that one's in the Ag plan?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a note to find something.
Okay.
All right. Thank you again, Karen and Oksana. I know you two also looked for all the edits. I don't know if everybody saw this, but all of these little tabs
Are the edits.
for all the edits.
Yeah.
And
I went
it made
through
it-
I went through two containers of those stick-it notes.
Copy is, you know, for me, it would have been a good thing to review them like that. Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I still had to add them all, but it was nice not to have to search for it myself. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had no plans of us going through this thing page by page today, but I just wanted to give everybody a chance to share anything or thoughts about it. At this point, I think our plan is see if the committees have any final thoughts about their goals or the action steps in them, and then ask the town board to take a look at it and set a public hearing. And I think the schedule is that there would be a resolution on the May 17th town board meeting to set the public hearing for June 21st.
Sounds good.
So does everybody still feel like that's pretty good?
Yeah, I do.
Pretty good schedule?
I
Yeah,
think that's great, yes.
I think it's very, very much in keeping with the original plan, maybe a month or two later, but that's great if it gets to them and, with public hearing in June.
Could or would the adoption,
Sarah?
Got two people.
Sarah,
Yes.
Oksana, on this page where it says acknowledgements,
Yeah.
it looks weird not to have Town of Canandaigua Town Board flush left, the comprehensive plan flush left, town staff flush left.
Yeah. I
Because
think it's centered
you,
over
Yeah.
each column.
yeah, I mean, which is, and like, yeah, like I would move Jim Fletcher, Highway and Water, the superintendent, move the superintendent under Highway. It just looks kind of weird hanging out there.
But he's superintendent of both.
I think there might be enough room that I can fit it next to it.
Or you can put Highway / Water.
Yeah.
And use an abbreviation for superintendent.
Okay.
Sarah, what about, there are some other documents that are going to be after the plan, like, are there some appendixes or whatever?
Yeah. I have that. He put them all together in a separate file. Do you guys want to see
Okay.
those? They haven't changed. They're just like,
Yeah.
they're notes from the public meetings. There's the survey, stuff like that.
Mhm.
He has them all put together already. He just didn't put them in this draft yet.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, that's a good
Oh.
note. I need to do that before it goes to the public hearing.
Okay, so again, on page 2, why don't you make acknowledgements in bold?
The word acknowledgements.
The word
Um,
acknowledgements in bold.
Title.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to see. I think it just went along with like that stuff. I think I can change it. It's publisher. So some of the stuff is part of a master page. So if you change it, it changes them all. But this one might not be a master page. I should be able to fix it. I mean, this is PDF, but
Okay.
the publisher file is
Yeah.
where all the changes are made.
Yeah.
We're getting into the weeds here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I mean, I guess
well.
that means that there's not anything big that we need to fix. So that's okay.
No. It just would look better.
If you guys find anything like this after this too, if you glance through it, if you feel like glancing through it again, just send me a note.
Okay.
I know there's some red dates in there that haven't been filled in on the first few pages where it talks about when the public hearings are. Obviously, I'll put those in. Now that we kind of have an idea of when those are going to be, I'll put them in.
So on the table of contents, did you make sure that the page numbers correspond with the correct pages?
Yeah, I had to add a page, so I did
Okay.
have to do it, but I made a note to go back and check that kind of stuff. All the links
Okay.
too, because there's some links internally that link to other places like these. They all are links, so I've got to just check all that stuff too.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for looking through this.
Sarah, my question
So,
was,
so,
Go ahead,
I'll go
Chuck.
this time, Oksana.
yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, thank you. My question was, if the public hearing is in June, would town board adopt the comp plan at that meeting, or would it then push back to July?
If they want to, they can.
Yeah, it's up to them.
Because typically what we offer the town board in resolutions is that they, at the May meeting, the resolutions will likely state that if they choose to pass it, they can set a public hearing for the June meeting. And then on the June agenda, there will be the public hearing, and then usually what is also on there is a resolution for adoption.
Mhm.
Used
Right.
to. But of course, it's up to them, you know, if something comes up at the public hearing and they don't want to, then it can get delayed or whatever.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out how much time the planning board would have to review it. Okay, well, I guess it's with the advertisement or the announcement of the public hearing in May, that's when the plan would be distributed.
Yeah, so, yeah, the public hearing will be set for the June meeting, but yeah, at the May 17th meeting, so
Okay,
you'd
All right.
have either of your, well, hopefully your first June meeting to officially look at it. But obviously, you know, we can send your planning board members a link now to kind of get an idea ahead of time if you want.
yeah, if you could do that, I'll give them a heads up at the meeting Tuesday to look for it, or maybe they've already received it by the time we meet. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Sarah, to Chuck's point, this is going to require referral to Ontario County Planning, which is something normally that a lot of the town
Right.
laws don't have to do and stuff. So we'll see if we have all that information back in time for the June meeting. I'm wondering, and just kind of throw out a suggestion to the CIC. I know our original plan was for the town board to consider adoption at the June meeting, but should we actually set the public hearing instead for the July meeting? I'm just wondering, just to give everybody extra time, or do we think that, I mean, if we go ahead and, I don't see any reason why we couldn't go ahead and send it to the county now. We should have that information back in time.
I think, I mean, I'll talk to Michelle, but yeah, I think just being the way that the county's meeting schedule is, the development office has sometimes sent things early just to make sure they get a response in time. But yeah, or would you want to set the public hearing still for June and then wait till July to adopt it? That way there's still a public hearing open and people have extra time, or does it not matter?
I think that's really a town board decision. So I mean, we can put it on there and then leave it up to
Oh
them.
yeah, and then
They
if they want to
continue
just
it.
delay it or whatever, yeah.
Is
So
Seeker?
Sarah.
Seeker, yeah, we'll
Wait.
have to do
Your
Seeker.
turn, Oksana.
Okay, my turn. Sorry, Chuck.
That's right.
On the table of contents page, okay, so when you look under vision and goals, you have those numbered, goal 1, goal 2,
Oh, yeah.
and so on. So what do we want to do? Take the numbers out here also
And just put a bullet point.
and just put,
Yeah,
Put a
it'll
bullet.
just,
yeah, just,
so if we remove the numbers, yeah, it'll just say the name of it. Because the
Okay.
title says vision and goals, vision statement, and then the
Yeah.
goals will follow.
yeah, okay.
Yep, I'll remove that too.
Good catch.
Do we
I
have
heard
a seeker involvement here?
That's what I was just gonna say. I heard you
Oh.
say seeker. I wrote a
Okay.
note to make sure we do that.
Okay. That may take some time.
It's just the short EAF because it's just a plan,
Mhm.
Oh, okay,
right?
that's good.
So when is
Like
the
what we do
town
with the goals.
board going to get this?
Well, they've gotten it the whole time. They've been included in all these
Oh,
emails.
okay.
So
All right.
unofficially, they've already seen this, or at least
Mhm.
they had the opportunity to see it.
Mhm.
But officially, they won't receive it until the week before the town board meeting, so May 12th.
Okay.
But yeah, I made sure, I tried to remember to always include them in the emails for CIC when we were talking about the comp plan. Okay, thank you. I really appreciate all the feedback.
Thank you for all your
Yeah,
work
thank
here.
you.
Eric
Yeah,
really should
yeah.
be getting most of the credit. I'm just buttoning it up now.
Yeah, but that the button up is, that's critical too.
I was
The
just
whole
thinking,
stretch.
completion of this process that the town board ought to honor with a resolution or something, Eric's work on this thing.
Yeah, great idea.
Good idea.
Acknowledging all the work he did and what he saved the town in terms of time and money,
Money, yeah.
Money, yes.
especially money.
Mm.
He can put it on his resume.
I'm sure he has already.
All right. Well, besides the comp plan, Doug, is there anything of note to share from town board or
I
anything
think
else
I'll defer to Gary on that.
that you want to share? Should I rephrase it?
Well, actually, some good news. We've had previously conversations regarding ridgeline and ridgeline viewshed laws. And specifically Joyce. I want to give Joyce credit. She has put a lot of time and effort into really working through ridgeline and viewshed laws. And just a quick reminder, and I had a conversation with Joyce yesterday. She reminded me about this. We actually had extensive work. Actually, Sarah, if you'd let me share my screen for a quick second, I want to show, just so everybody knows where I took and posted some information on the website yesterday. If you go to the website here, and if you go to projects, and then you go to natural resource protection, and you remember there were specifically 3 things that we'd originally asked the NRI team to work on, being steep slopes, ridge lines, and shorelines. And the NRI team, in addition to the NRI update, as well as the open space, I put a quick web page on here just to kind of talk about that. The steep slope stuff was completed, and then specifically the ridgeline and viewshed information. And there was an extensive amount of work put in by by Joyce, the team, the NRI team, and then it, I think, moved on to the Environmental Conservation Board, including all kinds of mapping. We'd hired Saratoga Associates working through draft local law. Just a lot of information here you can go back and refamiliarize yourself with, but that's all there on the it's all on the website. But the town board actually directed the ordinance committee to bring that local law, advance that local law to them for consideration. So it's, Gary, I know that you've got a lot with the ordinance committee. I don't know if you want to comment on that, but that's kind of, I think, where that is in a nutshell anyway.
No, the only thing I would say about it is that, we are going to bring it forward. I know Joyce has done a lot of work on it. Her and I have discussed it, not recently, but in the past. We have our next 2 meetings already planned, not for the NRI, but on tomorrow we're meeting with Lamar to make a presentation on outdoor advertising. That certainly everybody's welcome to attend. And then on May 3rd, at our next regular meeting for the ordinance committee, we'd already set up for the form-based code presentation, again by Bergman. So the earliest we'd be able to get to it, it would be, we'll schedule another meeting for May in order to, start on the NRI. And we're going to try to get it back as soon as we can, sometime later this spring, early this summer, before the town board.
Go, Gary. It's a, you know, it's a tricky business. It can be anyway.
Right.
Speaking of
So
NRI,
Joyce, go ahead. Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Chuck.
right on cue. They're going to think we're in the same room or something.
Honey.
I know.
Oksana, don't talk. Quick question on the NRI. Remember we talked about a tutorial on the NRI, what it included for the planning board, the ECB?
Exactly. That is in the goals, okay, of the natural resources part, and it says that, you know, and my understanding is that Barb Johnson is willing to do that, and it's just
Planned.
okay, already planned. Great.
I just
Alright.
haven't gotten the email out yet.
Okay.
It's going to be May 5th, and it's going to be that anyone can attend the live training, but we're going to record it and post it and share it, obviously knowing that not everybody who wants to see it or needs to see it will be able to do it.
Do you have
But
a
yes.
time?
Great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be noon. I think we
Noon?
tried to plan it. Let me just double check.
Sarah, please make sure all of our boards, town board, all of our boards know about that. There's a lot of interest in that.
Yeah, on my list to invite is like all the boards, all the committees, all the project teams and staff members as well. It,
Yeah, that's a
sorry,
long time coming, I'll tell you. Since the ECB's been and the NRI team was working on all of that stuff. So this is great news. It's taken years for this to come to fruition.
yeah, noon. So yeah, just didn't get the email out yet.
I yield to
We'll
Oksana.
have to crack a bottle of champagne, Joyce.
Glenna, I will. I'll do that. I'll have my little glass of Prosecco
Okay.
at the next Zoom meeting. Celebrate. Yay.
Okay. Yeah. So when are the Lamar and the form-based code meetings?
Yeah.
Lamar's tomorrow and the form-based is May 3rd, the first Monday in May.
Yeah, the form-based
and
code is going
Lamar-
to happen at the ordinance committee meeting.
Okay, so Lamar is tomorrow?
Yes.
9
Okay,
a.m.
What
Sarah,
time?
Yeah.
what time?
9.
Can you send a link to that?
Yes.
Is form-based also at 9?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
That's our regular meeting, right?
Yeah.
I have a note to send it out.
I would
Okay, great.
that the Gateway Committee would want to know about this just in case they have an opportunity, or if it's going to be recorded so that they could see what Lamar has a suggestion for the Gateway signage. So that might, passing that along to them might be helpful. Whoever is left on that Gateway Committee.
I think all of our meetings are being recorded now so that, you know, if they go to the website, town website, they can pull it up if they aren't able to make it.
That's great. Thank you.
Also, just switching gears, there was a presentation last night from a resident who had asked the town to consider the purchase of 4025 Middle Cheshire Road. The town board listened to a presentation and collectively really gave no opinion regarding the acquisition, other than to say future discussions could be considered. So that was about the extent of that. So.
What was the discussion on the moratorium?
The moratorium resolution itself ended up the extensive conversation, but the outcome of that was the request that the ordinance committee advance the Ridgeline law. That was
Okay.
the resolution itself was withdrawn.
Thank you.
There was also a conversation relative to that discussion with regard to conservation subdivision, which I believe, Sarah, we have a meeting coming up with Barb Johnson, I think. And there's a variety of these
Next
meetings,
week.
very important meetings coming up. Sarah, we probably need to put some sort of reminder out. I'm not sure, whether it's one email or several, but there's a conservation subdivision team meeting coming up, I think, in the next week or so.
It's
Yeah,
on-
next Tuesday.
on
27.
the 27th.
It's on the 27th at 10 o'clock AM.
Do you want, okay. Do you want me to include that meeting in the list to share with people too?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Sarah, is there an affordable housing meeting
That's the next day.
scheduled? What? I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
that's the next day.
Okay.
The 28th at 1:30. That team needs to come up with a better name. It's someone said it was inclusive housing, someone said it was accessible, someone said it was affordable. So now it's all three.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the following day. So each of these teams have obviously been made aware of their own meetings, but
Yeah.
I can share them again with this group if you want to.
Reminders are good, you forget, you're going to the garden now, you're getting outside, you forget about these things.
And then I know the other thing that was on the agenda that interested some folks was the Morel Wilkin subdivision proposal. And just to make everyone aware that the town board did authorize the planning board. Chuck, we can touch base on that later too, but the town board did authorize the planning board to grant up to 15% density increase on that project. So Chuck, it's over to you. It's up to the planning board now.
Okay, there was some pushback, as you read in the minutes, from the board on that issue, but yeah, okay. We got the handoff. It'll be an interesting discussion, no doubt about it, with Mr. Morel.
Sure. Well, it's almost 10. I think we got everything that we wanted to talk about and then some.
Before we close, could I ask, I guess I was unaware of it, whatever we call the affordable housing team, is there one, is Karen, you involved in that?
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Oh, yes, she is.
I don't know, it's hard to come up with a better name for affordable housing. One of the suggestions I've read is market rate housing, but that doesn't really apply to our area because market rate could be $5 million here.
Yes, exactly. That's not, I don't think that's what what our goal is anyway, is to explore that market.
It's like finding a unicorn there. I mean, I don't know how it gets happened.
Yeah, it's not an easy, this isn't an easy committee to move forward with. I agree, Tom.
There was an article in the Sunday Times business section on the left coast where it's incredibly expensive to live, specifically places like San Francisco and Los Angeles. Because of the migration away, the municipalities have been buying up hotels and turning them into affordable housing somehow. But we don't have any abandoned hotels yet.
Well, there is an abandoned, well, it's not abandoned, but there is the old Daily Messenger building, which I don't know if there's any interest. I
It's
think
been sold,
that's what I thought.
That's-
$1,300,000, I think it was.
But that refurbished as affordable housing, I think would have been an excellent location and an opportunity, but I know.
I think, Doug, do you know? I think the buyer is one of the housing people.
Is it?
I believe so. And,
Yeah.
you know, at some point, this is this topic, I know we've talked about this before. This is also something that the LDC is interested in, and some specific members of the LDC, and they've been having some conversations relative to, you know, there's a lot of discussion about what the future of phase 3, 4, and 5 of Pinnacle North may or may not look like, if anything, and whether something could be incorporated or parts of that, maybe the side that's closest to Parkway Plaza or even part of Parkway Plaza, as well as some other sections of the city. This, I think this discussion and this team is certainly going to have a lot of work ahead of it. I know Matt Horn is part of this. I think Matt could be a great conduit of information between the LDC, the town, and the city. But this probably going to, I would think this conversation is going to encompass more than the town geographic boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. The people who are going to be on this committee may have already figured this part out by the names on the emails, but the group, yeah, has grown. We've got Habitat for Humanity involved. We've got Ontario County Housing Consortium or something like that involved. Pathstone, is that the right name? That other group?
Pathstone, yes.
And then a couple nonprofits I'm not familiar with, but I know they have to do with affordable housing. And they definitely are not contained within the boundaries, the geographic boundaries of the town. But we, you know, of course, invited them to come anyway. So, I mean, this committee has grown. And I think that's good.
In my opinion, just to state my opinion briefly, I think we as a community, as a county even, are not going to need to think outside the box and not think in terms of traditional ways of achieving this goal. And those of you who are on social media, day after day after day, there are people looking for places to live for in the $800 a month range.
Yeah, under
and
1,000.
they cannot find it. They cannot find it. They're people with children, working couples. So we have to take that demographic and keep it in mind and think outside of the box. And the outside of the box, the Daily Messenger building is a great idea. Look at the empty strip malls that are throughout the area. We have to be more accepting of looking at those in a different element as perhaps a living arrangement element. And even if they're made into studio apartments, you know, 1.5 rooms, they provide something for a demographic base of our community. And I just can't begin to stress this. And that's what California, Texas, all the people on the Southwest area are looking at when it comes to affordable housing.
I'm wondering if, as we are approaching this now and starting to talk about it, that the area seems to broaden. It's just not the town of Canandaigua, and whether this committee is actually, we should have an LDC representative on the committee, but I'm just wondering if this committee wouldn't be more appropriate under the LDC, because that's who actually would, that's the territorial entity who would actually be benefiting from the work that we do. So some way, anyway, we need to tie into the LDC so that's going to be, I think, a real important aspect. I don't think on our committee right now we have anybody from the city on the affordable housing, do we?
Well, Matt Horn is on the committee. He's the director of the LDC,
Okay,
right?
so he's the one that can be the conduit then to the LDC, but we may have a relationship with the LDC, maybe even the county before Richard.
And I am on the County Economic Development Committee.
Oh, good.
board.
So you're-
And I can tell you that just in our meeting last week, we discussed affordable housing. And typically, when we talk to a manufacturer or a business startup, we ask the question, a lot of times it's me asking the question about the middle income and lower income jobs they're going to provide. And along with that, there is discussion of affordable housing. But yeah, I think you have to change the mindset of the county. Affordable housing is going to require code changes, and all of these communities have their own codes. So,
yeah.
you know, it's tough. It's a tough thing. It's a tough element.
And I know this isn't going to be popular, but we've heard from individuals who don't necessarily support the town moving in this direction either. So please keep that in mind also as you're having conversations. You know, we've had very vocal folks opposed to, for instance, Creekview on County Road 10. So there's
No.
a variety of opinions to consider as you start to think about this topic.
They're called NIMBYs.
Yeah.
Well, I have to
Yeah.
say, having been the
A lot of
family
them came
member
out of the,
with little kids who
came out of-
couldn't afford a house, I think this is really important.
yeah,
When we
I
first
mean,
moved here, there was nothing we could afford. We got lucky, we found a place, but you know, they were showing us apartments that were $1,400, $1,500, and at the time, that just wasn't doable. You know, we were looking at $800, $900, and I mean, we did get lucky, but we ended up in a townhome that was owned by someone. You know, one of those over by the CMAC. You know. But yeah, there's so many more opportunities now, but it's still not enough. I mean, you hear the waiting lists are long, you know, at Creekview, and they fill up so fast. So,
And they look nice.
Yeah, they look nice. They do.
Yeah.
you have to
There's a
start
lot of,
somewhere. You can't always afford to buy a house right away or get a $1,500 apartment. So it's important.
Well, there's a new development in the city. I don't know if I don't think they have their approvals yet, but I think it's in the northern part of the city, and they want $1,400 or $1,200 or $1,400 a month. And I'm thinking, what about affordable housing over there?
sure, that's in the city. Once again, we're
Yeah,
talking about a geographic area that's not just our town. We're talking about continuity or something, you know, in the county. But the other place in the town of Canandaigua, and then also adjacent to the town of Hopewell, is on 364. And the application that's coming to the planning board regarding that. And how can we encourage, you know, at this point, affordable housing? You know, I don't know, but it's a point to ponder anyway.
and Doug, do you know anything? What is happening with the Labelon building? I mean, that has been going on for years and years, and doesn't look like anything's going on there. That would be perfect.
Sure. So two things. So, you know, and of course, this is really starting to, you know, get into the territory of discussion that's going to need to take place with this team. But, you know, one of the things I'd recently had a member with our discussion with one of our town board members who is very supportive of affordable housing. And I said, you know, from a regulatory perspective, it's very hard to say to a developer, okay, you can't build a house in the town of Canandaigua if you're going to sell it for more than $200,000, right? I mean, we're going to get lawsuits and all kinds of different stuff. But you could say things like, okay, if from a regulatory perspective, if you want the 15% increase in bonus density, you must meet some of the affordable housing guidelines or some of the restrictions. You know, you can do stuff like that. To keep those types of things in consideration. Oksana, regarding the Labelon building, so again, that's something that the LDC is updated on every single meeting. There's a lot of different things going on with that. There's a real, there's individuals that are involved with that would very much like to see that move forward. There's an issue relative to part of that building at one point in time, 50 plus years ago, being constructed in the public square. And it's a legal item that they're trying to work through. And it's really absolutely Pandora's box that, you know, they either have to tear down part of the building or it has to be used for a public purpose. And of course, we've had those conversations about, hey, a public purpose, meaning, you know, could it be some sort of affordable housing? And there's a variety of different legal opinions on whether or not that would meet that versus some sort of direct public use, such as public offices or those types of things. So it's actively being considered, is I guess what I would say.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have a new town planner?
Yeah,
Okay.
Good.
Shana Bonchik,
Great.
she'll officially begin right around June the 1st. As she transitions, she'll be hopefully working part-time with us a little bit as she works through the transition with her current employer over to us. But officially, it'll be right around June the 1st, full-time.
and what is her name again? I've forgotten already.
Shana Bonchik.
Shauna.
She
Yeah.
is the previous, she was previously held the position as planner for Yates County, and she is a resident of Cheshire and has attended all of our meetings in Cheshire, is very familiar with the sewer that we were looking at in Cheshire, has participated in multiple of our project teams and stayed involved with, aware of some of that information over the years. So, you know, hopefully that gives her a leg up. And one of the things that Shauna had shared with me specifically is, you know, she's used to writing plans and understands we have a lot of the plans already written. And so she's very, very excited for this next chapter in her life to be able to implement plans. So she's super excited.
Woohoo! Sounds good.
You can start with conservation subdivisions.
Yeah.
Amen.
Code.
We gotta get it finished first.
Yeah, don't want to scare her off.
Yeah.
Doug, whatever orientation you have with Shauna, if I could be included with that, that would be appreciated.
Yes, absolutely. I'm still trying to find out her schedule exactly. So
Okay.
working through that.
All right. That's great.
All right. I think we've covered everything we can need to cover today. But thank you again for all your
Okay.
work on the comp plan. You can expect
you.
an email. Probably several of you will be getting multiple emails from me, because if I send some reminders for the other committees and then also the information that we talked about today, the next, I have a list of several meetings to share with you guys, including the one tomorrow with Lamar. So to that effect, the next meeting is, let's see, today is the 20th, so May 4th. And I'll get with you on what that topic will be. I know the last meeting you guys talked about schedule when I couldn't come. So Doug, you and I can talk about that, and then I'll be in touch. So
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Okay.
day.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
I
Bye.
know.
Enjoy the snow.
3 to 5 inches.
Yeah.
Cut that girl off.
bye.